Dawn light seeped through the windows of the Hillside View rest stop as Jake Collins placed a makeshift birthday cake crafted from hamburger buns before his sleeping daughter. Last night, their old car had refused to start, the only home the two had known since his wife passed away 3 years ago. A solitary candle flickered in the early morning breeze. From a luxurious RV park nearby, a strange woman stood watching, her hand unconsciously tightening around her empty wedding ring finger. Would you help a struggling family if you saw them celebrating a birthday at a rest stop? What would you do if you were in their situation? Jake gently brushed a strand of hair from Emma's forehead, his calloused fingers a testament to the double shifts he'd been working since Sarah's death. At 32, the former head chef looked a decade older, his eyes carrying the weight of medical bills, eviction notices, and the constant struggle to keep his daughter's world from falling apart. 3 years ago, he had been creating culinary masterpieces at the River Stone, a restaurant known throughout the region. Then Sarah got sick. Stage 4. 6 months later, she was gone, leaving behind mountains of medical debt and a 5-year-old daughter who still asked when mommy was coming home. Now, home was wherever they could park. 2 weeks ago, they'd been evicted from their small apartment, the landlord apologetic but firm. Jake had smiled for Emma's sake, telling her they were going on an adventure. She had believed him with the innocent trust only an 8-year-old could muster. "Happy birthday, pumpkin," Jake whispered, watching Emma's eyes flutter open. Her face brightened immediately upon seeing the makeshift cake, the hamburger buns arranged in a circle with peanut butter as frosting and a single candle in the center. "It's perfect, Daddy," she exclaimed, sitting up straight on the weathered picnic bench. She didn't mention the real cake they'd planned before the car broke down, or how they were supposed to be celebrating in their new apartment, the one that had never materialized. Instead, she closed her eyes, made a wish, and blew out the candle with a smile that broke Jake's heart. From her position near the RV, Olivia Westbrook watched the scene unfold, something tightening in her chest. At 35, she had everything money could buy, except for what mattered. The Westbrook tech empire had consumed her life since her father's passing last year. The divorce papers had been finalized just 3 months ago. After discovering her husband's affair with her personal assistant, the betrayal still stung, but not as much as his parting words. "You were never really there, Liv. Just a bank account with a pulse." Her therapist had suggested this road trip, 3 months away from board meetings and investment portfolios. "Find yourself," Dr. Reeves had said. So far, Olivia had found beautiful vistas, luxury accommodations, and an emptiness that seemed to follow her regardless of the zip code. As she watched the father and daughter, Emma suddenly began to wheeze, her small body hunching forward as she struggled for breath. Jake's face transformed into pure panic. He frantically searched through a worn backpack, his movements growing increasingly desperate. "Where is it? Emma, honey, where's your inhaler?" His voice cracked with fear. "Used it yesterday," Emma managed between gasps. "Last one." Without thinking, Olivia rushed forward, her hand already reaching into her purse. "I have one," she called out. "I carry them for my asthma." Jake looked up, startled by the appearance of this stranger in designer jeans and a simple white blouse that probably cost more than his monthly rent, but his daughter was turning pale and questions could wait. He took the inhaler Olivia offered, helping Emma take the medicine. "Small breaths, pumpkin. That's it. You're doing great." His voice was calm now, though his hand still trembled. Slowly, Emma's breathing normalized. She leaned against her father, exhausted from the attack. Jake looked up at the woman who was now standing awkwardly beside their picnic table. "Thank you," he said, the words inadequate for what she'd done. "I don't know what would have happened if—" "It's nothing," Olivia interrupted, uncomfortable with gratitude she felt she didn't deserve. "I'm just glad I was here." Emma studied the stranger with curious eyes. "Are you an angel? Daddy says Mom sends angels sometimes." A smile tugged at Olivia's lips, the first genuine one in months. "No, definitely not an angel, just someone who happened to have what you needed." Jake cleared his throat, pride warring with practicality. "I'd like to repay you somehow. The medicine isn't cheap, and—" "Please don't worry about it." Olivia waved away his concern, then hesitated. Actually, there is something. I smelled your breakfast cooking earlier. It's been a while since I've had a home-cooked meal. Maybe you could… She gestured toward the small portable stove near their picnic table. Jake's expression shifted subtly. Cooking? His passion. His former life. That I can do, he said with the first real smile he'd worn in days. With practiced movements, Jake began preparing a simple breakfast with the few ingredients they had left. Emma, recovered from her attack, eagerly told Olivia about her father's culinary background. He used to make food that people took pictures of before eating, she explained proudly. Mom said he could make cardboard taste like Christmas. Olivia watched as Jake transformed their meager supplies into something that smelled divine. His hands moved with precision and confidence that had been absent moments before. This wasn't just cooking. This was artistry. I'm Olivia, by the way, she offered, extending her hand. Most people call me Liv. Jake Collins, and this is Emma, the birthday girl. The breakfast. Scrambled eggs with herbs, toasted bread with the last of their butter, and carefully rationed bacon was better than anything Olivia had eaten in months, despite dining at some of the country's most exclusive restaurants during her trip. This is incredible, she said honestly. You have a real gift. Jake shrugged, but couldn't hide the spark of pride in his eyes. It's just breakfast. Daddy makes the best food in the world, Emma declared with absolute certainty. He's going to have his own restaurant someday, right, Daddy? Jake's smile faltered slightly. Someday, pumpkin. He glanced at their broken-down car. Speaking of which, I should probably try to figure out our next move. Olivia followed his gaze. Car trouble? Nothing that a few $1,000s won't fix, Jake said with forced lightness. We'll figure something out. Olivia hesitated, then made a decision. I'm heading to Ridgecrest. There's a good mechanic there. A friend of a friend. I could give you a lift. Maybe they could take a look. Jake's instinct was to refuse, but Emma's hopeful expression stopped him. That's very kind, but we couldn't impose. It's not an imposition. That RV is too big for just me anyway. Olivia surprised herself with the offer. 3 months of solitude, and suddenly she was inviting strangers into her space? But something about their situation, about the way Jake created beauty from almost nothing, resonated with her. An hour later, after loading their few belongings into her RV, Olivia watched as Jake stood by their car, hand resting on the hood in a silent goodbye. The mechanic's assessment had been grim. The repair costs would exceed the car's value. It was the final blow in a series of misfortunes. You and Emma can stay with me until you figure things out, Olivia found herself saying as they stood in the garage parking lot. I'm just traveling around anyway, no real schedule. Jake's pride wore visibly on his face. We can't accept charity. Then make it an exchange. You cook, I provide transportation and lodging. She smiled. Believe me, I've been living on microwave meals and takeout. Some real food would be worth every penny. That evening, with access to a fully stocked RV kitchen, Jake created a proper birthday dinner for Emma. Olivia sat across from them, watching as the little girl's eyes widened at the sight of real birthday candles on a chocolate cake Jake had somehow produced from basic ingredients. Make a wish, sweetie, Jake encouraged. Emma closed her eyes tightly, then blew out the candles with a decisive puff. I can't tell you what I wished for, she said seriously, but I think it might be coming true already. Over the next few weeks, a routine developed. They traveled along the coastal highway, stopping at small towns and scenic overlooks. Jake cooked meals that made Olivia wonder why he didn't have his own cooking show. Emma's asthma attacks became less frequent with proper medication, which mysteriously appeared in the RV's medicine cabinet. Olivia found herself sharing stories from her childhood, carefully edited to remove mentions of family wealth or her corporate position. She spoke about her father's expectations, her failed marriage, and her uncertainty about the future. Jake listened without judgment, offering insights that came from someone who had lost everything and survived. In turn, Jake slowly revealed his story, how he and Sarah had met at culinary school, their dreams of opening a restaurant together, and how quickly those dreams unraveled when she got sick. I don't regret giving up my career to care for her, he said one night as they sat outside the RV under a blanket of stars, Emma asleep inside. But I do regret not being able to give Emma the life Sarah wanted for her. You've given her something more valuable, Olivia replied softly. She knows she's loved. Not every child has that certainty. One rainy afternoon in a small coastal town, Emma sat at the RV's table with Olivia, drawing pictures on an iPad Olivia had just happened to have as a spare. Jake was napping after a night of Emma's fever keeping them both awake. Can I tell you a secret? Emma whispered, glancing toward the bedroom area where her father slept. Of course, Olivia replied, setting aside her book. Daddy cries sometimes when he thinks I'm sleeping. Emma's fingers traced patterns on the screen. He doesn't cry at night anymore, though. Not since we've been with you. Olivia felt something catch in her throat. Your dad is the strongest man I've ever met, Emma. Mom used to say that love isn't finding a perfect person, but seeing perfection in an imperfect person. Emma looked up, her eyes wise beyond her years. I think Mom would like you. She's always around, you know. She'd tell me if she didn't like you. Olivia blinked back unexpected tears. I wish I could have met her. You already have, Emma said with the simple conviction of a child. She's always here, and she likes you. That evening, Jake prepared a seafood pasta with ingredients they'd purchased at a local market. As they ate, Olivia found herself watching him. The confidence in his movements, the care he took, plating even a simple family meal. The way his eyes crinkled when Emma made him laugh. Something was shifting inside her, a feeling she couldn't quite name. Later, as Jake washed dishes and Emma showered, Olivia received a call from her assistant. She stepped outside the RV to take it, unaware that Jake had finished the dishes and could hear her side of the conversation through the open window. No, the board meeting will have to wait until I return. Yes, I understand the acquisition is time-sensitive, but that's why we have a management team. Tell them Westbrook Tech CEO will address their concerns when I'm back in 3 weeks. Jake stood frozen in the kitchenette, a dish towel in his hands. Westbrook Tech, one of the largest technology companies in the world. Olivia wasn't just some woman on a road trip. She was Olivia Westbrook, worth billions, featured on magazine covers, and apparently slumming it with a homeless chef and his daughter. His shock deepened when he noticed a folder on the table that had fallen from Olivia's bag. Inside were papers for Emma's enrollment in an exclusive private academy, complete with a full scholarship. Another document showed the paid invoice for their car repair, an amount that made Jake's stomach twist. Medical insurance papers for both him and Emma, a lease agreement for an apartment in Ridgecrest. Olivia stepped back into the RV, her phone call complete, to find Jake standing with the documents spread before him, his face pale and rigid. Were you planning to tell us about your charity project, or just drop us off at our new life with a pat on the head? His voice was quiet but sharp with hurt. Olivia's eyes widened. Jake, it's not like that. Then what is it like, Miss Westbrook? He gestured to the papers. Scholarships, apartments, medical insurance, all arranged without a word to me. Did you think I couldn't make these decisions for my own daughter? I was trying to help, Olivia said, her confidence faltering at the anger and betrayal in his eyes. We're not a charity case, Jake said, gathering Emma's few possessions. We're not some feel-good story you can tell at your next board meeting about how you saved the poor chef and his sick daughter. That's not fair, Olivia protested, her voice rising. I never saw you that way. Then why the secrecy? Why not just be honest about who you are and what you were doing? Jake's hands were shaking now. I trusted you. Emma trusted you. We let you in. I was afraid, Olivia admitted, tears welling in her eyes. Afraid if you knew who I was, you'd see me differently. That you'd never let me be part of whatever this is. Part of what? Your vacation from reality? Is that what we are? A little taste of how the other half lives before you go back to your real life? The hurt in Jake's voice was palpable. Emma emerged from the bathroom, her hair still damp, eyes wide as she sensed the tension. What's happening? Why are you fighting? Jake took a deep breath, forcing a calm he didn't feel. We're leaving, Pumpkin. Get your backpack. Leaving? But why? I like it here with Liv. Emma's voice trembled. Sometimes adults make mistakes, Emma, Jake said gently. We thought this arrangement could work, but it can't. Please don't do this. Olivia pleaded. Let me explain. Jake shook his head. You had weeks to explain, to be honest. Instead, you played house with us while making decisions about our lives behind my back. He called a taxi using Olivia's phone, then handed it back to her. My pride is all I have left. It's not for sale. Standing in the RV park, watching the taxi drive away with Jake and Emma inside, Olivia felt hollowed out. The emptiness that had followed her before their meeting was nothing compared to this new void. For a few precious weeks, she had felt part of something real, something that mattered. Now it was gone, leaving only the cold certainty that some things money couldn't fix. 2 weeks later, Jake was working a double shift at a local diner when he received the call from his former sister-in-law, Jennifer. Her voice was apologetic but determined, as she explained that she and her husband Robert had filed for custody of Emma. It's not that we don't think you love her, Jennifer said hesitantly, but you're living in a motel, Jake. You have no stable home, no health insurance. Sarah would want better for Emma. The custody hearing was set for the following month. Jake spent every free moment researching family law at the public library, preparing to represent himself since he couldn't afford an attorney. The motel manager had agreed to write a letter confirming their residency, and Jake had secured a second job at a restaurant to demonstrate financial stability. Each night, during their allowed phone call, Emma would ask when she could come home. Soon, pumpkin, Jake would promise, his voice steady despite the fear churning inside him. Daddy's working on it. I miss you, she would whisper. Aunt Jenny is nice, but she doesn't make pancakes like you do. The morning of the hearing arrived, and Jake stood outside the courthouse adjusting his only tie, a thrift store purchase that still smelled faintly of someone else's cologne. Inside, he spotted Jennifer and Robert with their attorney, a polished woman in an expensive suit. Jake clutched his folder of carefully prepared documents, trying to quiet the voice in his head that said he was outmatched. The proceedings began with Jennifer's attorney outlining their case. Jake's financial instability, the lack of permanent housing, Emma's asthma requiring consistent medical care. She presented evidence of Jake's eviction, photos of their car that had served as temporary housing, and expert testimony about the psychological impact of instability on children. When it was Jake's turn, he stood with shaking hands but a steady voice. I may not have much, he began, but everything I do have is for Emma. Yes, I've struggled. Yes, we've faced hardships. But through it all, Emma has never doubted for a second that she is loved completely. He presented his own evidence. Emma's school report showing good grades despite their circumstances. Letters from teachers praising her resilience and emotional well-being. Proof of his new jobs and the small apartment he had managed to rent. My wife's last words to me were, keep our family together, Jake said, his voice breaking slightly. That's what I'm fighting for today. The judge was reviewing the documents when the courtroom door opened. Heads turned as Olivia Westbrook entered, followed by a team of attorneys. Jake felt his heart stutter in his chest. She looked different now, every inch the CEO in a tailored suit, her hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. Only her eyes were the same, meeting his with an intensity that made him look away. Your Honor, Olivia's attorney addressed the court. We request permission for Ms. Westbrook to address the court as a character witness for Mr. Collins. The judge, clearly recognizing Olivia, granted permission with raised eyebrows. Olivia took the stand, her posture perfect, but her hands clasped tightly together. Jake Collins is not just the best father I have ever known, she began, her voice clear and confident. He is the person who taught me what family truly means. She described their weeks together, how Jake would go hungry to ensure Emma ate well, how he created moments of joy despite their circumstances, how his love for his daughter informed every decision he made. I've built a technology empire and managed thousands of employees, Olivia continued, but I've never witnessed the kind of strength it takes to be the parent Jake Collins is every single day. Then she revealed her proposal, a new restaurant called Jake's Kitchen, with Jake as head chef and part owner, backed by Westbrook Tech's Community Investment Fund. She presented a published cookbook featuring Jake's recipes, compiled secretly during their time together, with all royalties going into a trust for Emma's education. "I made mistakes," Olivia admitted, looking directly at Jake. "I should have been honest from the beginning. But my deception doesn't change the truth about Jake Collins. He deserves the chance to raise his daughter, the daughter who thrives because of his love and sacrifice." The courtroom remained silent as Olivia stepped down. Jennifer was crying softly, her husband's arm around her shoulders. The judge called for a brief recess, and as people filed out, Emma slipped away from her aunt and ran straight to Jake, throwing her arms around him. "I knew she'd come back, Daddy," Emma whispered. "I just knew it." Jake held his daughter tightly, his eyes meeting Olivia's over Emma's head. "Why?" he asked simply. "After what I said to you." "Because sometimes family isn't where you're born," Olivia replied softly. "It's where you find it." When court resumed, Jennifer approached the bench. "Your Honor, we'd like to withdraw our petition," she said, her voice steady despite her tears. "Sarah would want Emma with her father. We were wrong to suggest otherwise." The judge looked at Jake, at Emma clinging to his hand, and at Olivia standing a respectful distance away. "Mr. Collins will retain full custody," he declared. "This court encourages the parties to work together for Emma's benefit." Outside the courthouse, Jennifer embraced Jake for the first time since Sarah's funeral. "She'd be so proud of you," she said. "You were right to fight for your family." As Jennifer and Robert left, Jake turned to Olivia, who was waiting by her car, giving them space. Emma ran to her immediately, hugging her tightly. "Thank you," Jake said simply when he approached. "But I can't accept charity, even now." "It's not charity," Olivia replied. "It's investment. In a talented chef, in a promising business. The contracts are real, Jake. You'd earn your ownership stake through sweat equity. All business, I promise." Jake studied her face, searching for pity but finding none. "And the cookbook?" "It was already selling pre-orders before I arrived today." A small smile touched her lips. "Turns out people are interested in authentic family recipes with a story behind them." 6 months later, Jake's Kitchen celebrated its grand opening in a renovated historical building in downtown Ridgecrest. The simple, elegant space reflected Jake's philosophy about food, unpretentious but crafted with care and attention to detail. Emma had her own room above the restaurant, decorated with her artwork and a special easel Olivia had given her for her 9th birthday. Jake had hired a small, dedicated staff, including a sous chef who had worked with him at the Riverstone years before. The restaurant was already developing a reputation for exceptional food, served in a warm, familial atmosphere. Olivia visited regularly, offering business advice but never interfering with Jake's culinary vision. She maintained her own apartment in the city but often stayed for dinner, helping Emma with homework or discussing expansion possibilities with Jake after closing. Their relationship remained undefined, hovering in a space between friendship and something deeper. Jake had slowly learned to accept help without seeing it as charity, while Olivia had discovered the joy of being valued for herself rather than her wealth or position. On Emma's 9th birthday, they held a proper celebration at the restaurant. As Emma blew out her candles, someone asked what she had wished for. Emma smiled mysteriously. "I can't tell you, or it won't come true, but I think it's already starting to happen, a little bit every day." His eyes darted between Jake and Olivia, who stood near each other, their hands close but not quite touching. Everyone laughed and moved on to cake. But later, when the party had ended, Emma left a drawing on the table. 3 figures standing before a house with the words, "Family doesn't have to be perfect, just complete," written in childish script beneath. Jake found it as he was cleaning up, Olivia looking over his shoulder. Their eyes met, a question hanging in the air between them, unanswered but not ignored. "She's quite the artist," Olivia said softly. "It's that from her mother," Jake replied, his voice thick with emotion. "Sarah would be proud of the family you've kept together," Olivia said, carefully placing the drawing in a folder to be framed, "and the new connections you've made." Jake's hand found hers, tentative but deliberate. "We're still figuring it out, day by day." "That's what families do," Olivia whispered, her fingers intertwining with his. If this healing journey touched your heart, please like this video, share this story, and subscribe to our channel to restore your faith in humanity and family bonds. What do you think should happen next? Should Jake and Olivia become a complete family? Or is their current relationship enough?